So people are transient. They're going to move. How do you navigate these waters? This is why your contracts with facilities are so important. You want your contracts and agreements to transcend any HR changes, any leadership changes. This is why you want contracts. Critical. Hello everyone, it's Joel Davis with United Medical Transportation Providers Group. You are the broker.com and Home Care Access. And this is going to be an important video. It's going to be very revealing for those of you who unfortunately follow all the groupies on the Facebook groups, follow all the freebie and all the nonsense, all the battle of the dingbats and all the slappy pappies. It's amazing how many people try to model their business after failing businesses, or they try to model their business after people who've never done it. And it's just I have to make this video and share some key content with you so you could ask some critical questions. You're going to learn some stuff, but you've got to be able to ask critical questions from those people that you're listening to. And I do this selfishly because so much of our time, and I'm sure you've heard it from Dan and Dawn and Charlie as well, so much of our time and their time is spent picking up pieces after Humpty Dumpty's fallen and broken. And sometimes we can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And it's a tragedy because some of you waste so much time, money, and effort, sign the stupidest, most foolish agreements, follow the stupidest advice. Man, I could go on. I could write doctoral dissertations over the things we've seen over the last 2 decades plus of all the insanity. But again, you have got to be exceptionally careful and cautious of who you listen to and what you put in your mind. Now, I'm going to put some evidence before you that if you're not going to believe me, if you're not going to believe my peeps, Dan, Dawn, and Charlie, and everybody else, then take some of what I give you here and the people you are listening to, following all that freebie, fake book advice and the brother-in-law advice and all the stupid counsel. It's all the internet is just dripping with insanity. I'm going to present you with some information, and I want you to take it to your mentors and ask them. And it's going to be very revealing, because if they can't answer the questions, if they can't produce solutions for what I'm going to present to you, you know they're full of it, and you should not be listening to them. Again, I'm doing this selfishly because we are mired down helping so many people try to put the pieces back together again after they've wasted so much time, money, and effort, that if they just started the business the right way from the very beginning, we would not be in these situations. And again, sometimes we can't redirect the ship. I'm good. I don't want to say works and miracles. I could come close sometimes, but I can't solve all the problems. But I posted this in a newsletter recently, and again, I want you to take this picture right here. Okay, I want you to take this picture right here of this vehicle. I want you to go to your slappy pappy freebie advisors, your battle of the dingbats, and ask them. Just looking at this picture, name four to six key things, 5 things that you know are absolutely jacked up with this picture, and why this is an absolute walking, driving, moving, risk management, liability, lawsuit waiting to happen. There are so many things wrong with this picture. Man, I've seen crazy things over the years, but this picture encompasses and embodies so many different things. Now, I'm going to give a pass to some of you who are in the states that foolishly they don't let NEMT providers perform stretcher transports. Why? I don't know. There's different reasons, different conversation, different day. But stretcher trips, as all of you know, I love stretcher trips. I'll give you a classic example. One of our client providers, and I'm going to share an email from him momentarily. He's in a smaller state. Dude, he's getting $500 base pickup for stretchers. $500 base pickup for stretchers. So for those of you who are in states where you cannot perform NEMT stretchers, man, it's unfortunate. We have many client providers who have migrated or diversified into and operate multiple businesses because, come on, man, you can't let that, you can't leave that on the table. They're paying it. Facilities, hospitals, post-acute skilled care facilities, they're paying it. $500 base pickup fee, $6 a mile loaded fee, $3 a mile unloaded fee. People are paying it. So it's there. Now again, he's in a great pocket, a great area where most of the NEMT providers, they don't even do stretcher transports. That's why he's able to name his price, and they're paying it. So if you know that money is to be had, this is why, especially for you providers who are in states where you can perform non-emergency stretcher transports and you're not leveraging it, man, get with the program. It is money maker. It's money maker gold. But again, it's critical. I beg of you. If you think that your Battle of the Dingbats that you're listening to, your Slappy Pappies, all your fake book groupies, take this picture to them and say, give me no less than 5 things, hopefully 6 things, that just looking at this one picture, you could say, this is a train wreck, this is a lawsuit waiting to happen. This is, to the average person, oh, everything looks good. Oh, it's a nice vehicle, nice and clean. This is a lawsuit waiting to happen many times over. Again, go ask your advisors, your gurus. And here's a key thing. Here's a key thing. All those national accreditations, how are they working in states where they have stretcher transports and states that don't have stretcher transports? If they're national accredited, don't you think there's going to be a difference between drivers? I mean, think about it. If I'm in one state and I don't have to do stretcher transports and I'm not trained on it, how do I have a national accreditation? But then there's these other states where, guess what? You do need to be trained on stretchers. Well, wouldn't that be different? So how does that national accreditation, how's that work? How's that look? Now, different topic. I got another provider. Now, this is a provider who operates in one state where they can't perform stretcher transports, only ambulatory and wheelchair. So now he's actually moved. He still operates in that state, but he moved next door to a neighboring state where he can perform stretcher transports, and he's in the process of reestablishing himself and expanding where he wants to completely go after stretcher transports. Now, this email, here's why I'm sharing this. Again, you got to ask yourself, how would you solve this problem? Again, ask your Battle of the Dingbats, your fake book groupies, how would they solve this problem? Here's the scenario. He's been servicing this facility for a long time, has a contract, hasn't raised his rates in 2 or 3 years. Guess what? It's time to raise the rates. Costs have gone up. You got to raise your rates. But they've also changed administrators. The previous administrator, sure, he would have accommodated, great guy. Now they have a new administrator, female, completely blows my guy off. Completely blows our contract provider off. This is where I've talked about in previous videos where a lot of times you go to these facilities. This is why you have to establish, it doesn't matter how small you are in comparison to the facility you're serving, you have to establish boundaries, rules, policies, procedures. You are no less legitimate in your world than they are in their world, and you don't let people crap on you. Here's a classic example that I talk about where so many of those people, that whether sometimes it's administrators, sometimes it's the doctors or the nurses, they just look at us as peon taxi cab drivers. No idea or self-awareness of how critical that we are in helping them solve their daily mission and operation. So he's trying to coordinate with this new administrator a sit-down meeting so they could discuss the need to increase their rates. So long story short, after a bunch of back and forth, her blowing him off, finally she establishes a date for them to have a sit-down, and then last minute she blows that off and just sends him an email saying, good morning. Our blank, the facility, our blank residents now have a benefit for transportation which will cover for non-emergent transfers. if you would contact Nations Benefits so that they could talk with you and get you set as a provider so that they can begin to pay you for those residents. The only number I have for them is blah, 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 blah. Thanks, administrator. So again, here it is. They're scheduled for a sit down. She blows them off and just haphazardly, this is the only number I have. Here, some of the residents are covered by this Nation's Benefits. I'll call them and chase them down. Now I ask you, what would you do in this situation? And if you don't know, go to your advisors, go to your fake book groupers, your battle of the dingbats, all the slappy pappies, and ask them, what would you do in this situation? How would you solve this problem? Oh, because we solved this problem. We are definitely going to solve this problem. What would you do? Do you just chase it? Do you still continue to try to meet with her and convince her otherwise? What do you do? Critical. And again, the previous administrator wouldn't have handled it like this. And this is the thing. So many times when you have these contracts, look, it's human resources. It's the nature of human resources. People are going to move. They're going to migrate. They're going to look for new opportunities. Sometimes they're going to move up in the food chain within the same system. Sometimes they're going to take a better opportunity with a different facility altogether. So people are transient. They're going to move. How do you navigate these waters? This is why your contracts with facilities are so important. You want your contracts and agreements to transcend any HR changes, any leadership changes. This is why you want contracts. Critical. But hey, what do I know? Now, again, we work with some awesome people. And I love working with so many great people. This is from a great dude. We worked with him for many, many years ago, working to build and scale his business. Now he's going after some serious seven-figure funding. So we've really helped shape his pitch deck and presentation, all that kind of stuff. So now he sent me another email recently, and he said, General, I hope all is well. As we move forward with blank, the name of his company, one of our top priorities is building a strong marketing and sales strategy to secure contracts with hospitals and long-term care facilities. We also need this strategy to be clear and compelling when we present it to the investors. I'd really appreciate your advice on what that plan should look like step by step. Specifically, what's the best way to approach social workers, case managers, and decision makers inside hospitals and facilities? Now I ask you, what do your gurus, what do your brother-in-laws, what do your battle of the dingbats, what are your slappy pappy, what are your fake book groupies, how are they advising you on this? He continues, what kind of messaging or material should we prepare to open doors and build trust? Let me guess, your slaps are going to say, oh, just call them, fax them something. That was always a big one. I love that. When I saw it's just stop by, just randomly stop in and give them a business card. Great sales strategy. Great. The best one though is fax them a flyer. Fax them a flyer. That is just so antiquated and just moronic. But literally, some of your gurus out there are advising fax them a flyer. Do you know how fast your business card and that flyer is going to go in the garbage? Unbelievable. But as I continue, what role or type of person should we have representing blank in those conversations? Another one. And how would you structure this strategy in a way that would resonate with investors, clearly showing how we'll convert outreach into signed contracts? Your input would mean a lot, especially as we fine-tune our pitch and executive plan. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts when you have a moment. So, needless to say, he's my guy. We love him. We take good care of him. Hook him up. Here's his response. After we hook him up. General, yes, that's exactly what I needed. Those are the two areas I felt insecure about. You helped me greatly. I have an investor pitch practice tonight, so this was right on time. That really helped me feel a little better about pitching. I'll let you know when we finally go live. They pushed it back so we could practice pitching between tonight and Friday. I'll go through both materials and let you know my thoughts. Thank you again, Mr. MVP. Again, I ask you, what would your Battle of the Dingbats advise? What would your brother-in-law advise? What would your fake book groupies, what would they advise? How would they solve the problem? Again, give them these emails, give them these questions. If they can't answer it, you know you're wasting your time and your money. Another caveat, I do not chase people. My people, we're too busy, we don't chase. If you don't pursue us, we don't connect because we're not chasing people. I mentioned my guy, love him. This dude is a straight up hardworking hustler. I've shared some information about him before. Love this dude. Him and his wife, diligent, hardworking couple. If he has to roll up his sleeves and get dirty, he rolls up his sleeves and gets dirty. He does whatever is necessary. And I love workers. So this is part of a much, much, much larger email. We've been working with him for technically years. Dan, Don, and Charlie have worked with him for a long time. I started working with him recently. Home care access team has been working with him with home care. So he's working on doing a lot of different things. But I'm not going to read you the whole email because it's long and we have lengthy correspondence. We're doing a lot right now. We are doing a lot to not only structure and grow his NEMT and home care business, but we're working to structure everything dynamically so we can push the money through the system, build the honey pot, limit exposure liability. So we're doing a lot of different things here. So number 9, this is again part of a much, much larger email. Number 9, lease agreements. I will need some help drafting a lease agreement. Your help will be greatly appreciated. Again, we're doing very dynamic things to limit his exposure to liability. Number 10, S Corp, because I wanted him to integrate one of his business entities to be an S corporation. That's where he'll go on salary. Once the state approves the new entity, we'll make all the adjustments. As I stated previously, they are running behind schedule. Breakdown on his home care. I'll share why I'm reading this in a minute. I'm relieved you saw what I was trying to do based on the hourly rate and average cost before we start transitioning onto the profit side. The $50 per hour was based on what we know on base rates on the area, which started at around $32 for Medicaid to 48 private agencies. I even heard someone mention that even higher rates for the higher end, more financially stable folks, but I figured $50 will be a safe ground. I mention this because I'm telling you, the rates for home care, the rates of reimbursement are only continuing to go up almost everywhere. Not quite everywhere, but almost everywhere. Medicaid's bumping up as well as private pay. So in addition to rates continuing to go up, and he's in a great pocket, a great area, he's able to get good premium, guess what? He also has NEMT service. He provides wheelchair and stretcher transportation. This is where the symbiotic relationship, the synergistic relationship between NEMT and home care, boom, they just benefit each other. Let me scroll down a little bit. He says, my idea, also by figuring the hourly pay rate of $18, being the high average is the average in the state, $15 to $18 per hour. Starting at $18 per hour, I could incentivize the caregivers with a performance bonus as well. Totally agree with him. Totally agree with him, giving them some options there. Here's the key caveat, and here's why I'll finish with this. Again, love this dude, hardworking dude, and I love hard workers. And not only is he a hard worker, he's appreciative. He's appreciative. He finishes with this. He says, final note, I'm taking your advice, points of view, and your approach with utmost seriousness. I believe on having the right mentor in order to succeed. Let me say that part again. He says, I believe on having the right mentor in order to succeed. This is why I'm making this video. Take all these images and emails and questions I've presented to you, take them to your gurus and ask them, how would you solve the problem? And if they don't have a problem, you're following a moron. He continues, I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I see it for what it is. Is it a ding on the pride when someone points out the faults? Yes, of course. But I see the benefits. I'm sure you hear this all the time by folks that are in the same boat and with the same ambitions and in need of much needed guidance. Again, I can't say it enough. I'm very glad that I am able to get the help that it provided by you and your peeps. When people ask me why we do what we do, bam. That's why we do what we do. If we're able to position people like him to further fine-tune the trajectory of their business, to put them in a better position to increase their top and bottom line, those scenarios, those are life changers. So again, ask me why I do what I do, bam. It's because of people like that. Hardworking, they care, and they're appreciative. Those are the type of people that you want to pour into. Why? Because that is fertile ground right there versus the people who, at the end of the day, they have all the answers. They don't want to listen. Do it their way. They just want you to co-sign what they're doing. No. Fertile ground. You want to invest in fertile ground. That's it right there. When you do that, I can promise you, I'll see you at the top.